Eden as a peaceable community. The first biblical account of creation is one of peace, order, and harmony. The universe is spoken into existence. Best language or communication at the very heart of the world as created by God. The Gospel of John emphasizes this rational order of the universe. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and with him nothing came to be. John chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. The Greek word St. John uses, logos, can be translated as word or reason. In either case, it indicates that rational communication is built into the very fabric of creation. Or, to put it another way, creation is built upon a foundation of communication. Of course, the Gospel of John is telling us that the rational word at the heart of creation is Christ himself. In addition to telling us that the universe is the product of rational communication, the first creation account tells us that the Holy Trinity is an eternal community of persons. Thus, for the human person to be made in the image of God means, among other things, that the human is created for rational community, oriented away from self toward others in the community in a reciprocal compensation of love. As Joseph Ratzinger puts it, humans are the only beings that God made capable of thinking and praying. To be the image of God implies rationality. It is the dynamic that sets the human being in motion toward the totally other. Hence, it means their capacity for relationship is the human capacity for God. The relational nature of the human person is illustrated by the creation of the community of persons in Genesis 2. After creating the man, God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a help suited to him." That's hard to say. Genesis 2:18. This leads to the creation of the woman as the completion of the creation of the human person. The natural state of the human being is as a community of persons. Thus it is good that man is not alone. This is wonderfully consonant with the creation account in Genesis 1, where God created mankind in his image. Male and female he created them. Genesis 1:27. This communicative aspect of the image of God is reflected by the community of humans in the Garden of Eden. Prior to the fall, the man and woman exist in harmonious union with one another, and ordered toward God as both their origin and end. They came from God and are ordered toward God, and thus necessarily properly ordered toward one another in mutual self-gift. The two are as one, as beings of word and of love, explains Ratzinger. They are oriented to giving themselves to the other, and only truly receiving themselves back in real self-giving. This is what is meant by the last verse of Genesis 2. The man and his wife were both naked, yet they felt no shame. They existed in a state of natural, mutually self-giving community. It is important to note that the man and woman in the garden are aware of their moral agency. They know that they have the choice to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but at least to this point, they have used that moral agency in the way it was intended, to choose communion with God and one another, communion in which there was no shame. That was chapter 2 from Citizens Yet Strangers by Kenneth Craycraft, Living Authentically Catholic in a Divine America. And I like that passage because I like the emphasis Christianity places on communication. I think it says a lot about our own time when it's so difficult to communicate with people, especially people who disagree with us. It seems like we're losing that. And it coincides with a time that's less religious than past times. So perhaps that orientation toward something greater than ourselves is what kept us communicating with each other. Maybe we should try and go back to that. Those are my thoughts. What do you think?